This week on the Kayak Fishing Show, we are in the Bahamas with the world famous, in the Bahamas, Jen Ripple. She's gonna be giving me some tips on fly fishing because if you guys have seen the past episodes, I'm terrible at it, so I need some instruction. So we brought along an expert. You gonna help me out, Jen?
I'm gonna try.
I need all the help I can get. Stick around, we're having fun.
Too much fun. Woo.
So this week we had the pleasure of being at Old Bahama Bay Resort. Absolutely beautiful location. Incredible water right out in front.
You know, it's got beautiful pools and the beautiful water and the tiki bar and a restaurant where they serve amazing food. I suggest the beef tenderloin, by the way.
The amenities here are beyond belief. I mean, the rooms are beautiful. They have a great marina here, beautiful swimming pool.
And it's just like a picture-perfect paradise in a little storybook village is how I would describe the Old Bahama Bay. It's heaven on earth.
We had several people with us on the trip from the Jackson Kayak Fishing team, plus Jen from Dun Magazine. And basically what happened on our first day fishing with Jen was it was just too windy. We couldn't really do any kayak fishing, so we decided to go to the other side of the island where there was a little bit of shelter from the wind, and we would do some wade fishing and walking the beaches.
So you drive down these pristine, amazing streets, and really I was like, where are they taking us? I wasn't quite sure. And you walk over this ridge into this white sand beach. When you're an angler and you come over a hill like that and you see the expanse that is the flats, you're like immediately like, I have to go down there and I have to check out what is going on. And we went over the flats and we immediately saw snook and bonefish on the beach right there. And so, I mean, I was in heaven. Yeah.
How's your eye at spotting bonefish?
Not too bad, but usually I'm from a skiff, so you know,
up that much higher.
Yeah, you're up a little bit higher, but I mean, I love to wade fish, so especially the flats. So we'll see them.
Better the sun at our back a little bit?
Doesn't matter as long as there's sun. It's hard to see them when there's not sun. There you go.
That's a snook.
That is a snook. Get it.
You gonna eat this thing?
Right
Holy
there.
cow.
We followed this snook up that we saw just sitting a foot off the bank like they always do off the beach, and so we followed that up and we called it our guide snook because it led us to this giant hole where there were a bunch of, there was a stingray, and then as we were following the stingray and we looked in the hole where the snook was trying to catch a snook, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a whole bunch of bonefish there.
Oh, right when we started walking this beach, we saw this snook cruising along, and he looks like he wants to eat something. He's followed the fly several times, but he's just cruising right along the beach.
Jim had the opportunity to like cast in there, and after a couple casts, you know, he made his first cast like everybody does and brought back a bunch of seaweed and then was like, oh my God, but the fish were still there.
Got freaking moss on my stinking hook again. They were sitting on that stingray right there. Oh, we were eyeballing these bonefish right here on this stingray. Made several casts, and finally I got a hit and miss, and then another one just turned and picked it up. And there's that snook still sitting right there. Got it?
That is a beautiful bonefish. Come on over. Get the baby. Wow, that is beautiful. Look
Oh
at
my God,
that
that's
bone.
so much bigger than any bonefish I caught before. Been fishing for about 15 minutes. Caught my biggest bonefish ever in the Bahamas. Woo! Stick around, there's gonna be more great action here from the Kayak Fishing Show. The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Werner. A great fishing paddle is a great paddling paddle. A Werner paddle. Ray Marine. Simply superior.
For me, fly fishing is just that sport that somehow allowed me to reinvent myself. You know, from working in a hospital and working in, a cubicle and all that kind of stuff indoors, and then realizing that I didn't want to be in that life anymore, and fly fishing was, my reinvention.
So you took up fly time.
Yes, I took a fly time, walked in the fly shop, and, really I took it because it was cheap. It was like 6 classes for $85. And I thought, well, if I don't like it, it's not like I just put down $500 on something. And so I started tying flies, and from the moment I walked in that shop, I just loved everything about it. Look at how pretty it is, though. Isn't it something? It's a little deeper than I thought it would be.
Oh, oh, oh. Oh, he wanted it. I'm telling you, he wants that brighter pattern.
A bonefish?
So Jen, obviously I don't fly cast a lot, and wind gives me more trouble than anything. So can you give me any tips to help me with that casting when I'm having to deal with wind?
Yeah, there are a couple things that you should know. So first of all, the double haul is really important in wind.
And what is the double haul for those people who don't know?
Yeah, so a double haul is just a way that we pull down on the line as we accelerate our rod back to a stop, so that you bend your rod. What we call load the rod more, so that your line has better speed, so you can punch it through the wind. And a double haul is no different. It's no different than patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time until you get it down pat. So it's really a downward pull on the line as you come back, following your line up to meet your other hand, and then pulling it down as you come forward.
And that helps load the rod and accelerate the line.
Absolutely. So a good double haul is imperative.
Oh, I spooked him. For the fly fishing here, I've got a 9-weight Temple Fork fly rod and the Siegler MF lever drag fly reel. Beauty of it, unlike most fly reels, I can preset the drag. So I can know exactly where I am. A fish starts taking line, I can put that drag on, and I know exactly where that drag setting is. So really nice. Using Scientific Angler fly line, and then a tapered Seagar fluorocarbon leader that's 15-pound test. Not that the fish are all that big, but they're fast and they're strong. There's a lot of rocks. After my last bonefish, my line was super roughed up because he went around some rocks. But because that Seagar is very abrasion resistant, it did not break. And that's what I'm using here for fly fishing in the Bahamas. You know where I can cast really well?
Huh.
Is like in a park.
In a park, yeah, with no line and no
no
wind.
water, no nothing, no fish. I
No
can catch
fly,
possum.
no wind, yeah.
I'll shoot every bit of that line out. There's another one up on the rocks up there. See him?
I see a couple of them out there. Let's go get double triggers.
That one up there almost looks like a ray.
It's big. If you're coming to the Bahamas, you're gonna wanna bring your 8-weight as a fly rod. You're gonna wanna bring your 8-weight and you're gonna wanna bring a large arbor reel. I would say 2 lines, floating and intermediate, and a whole bunch of flies. But if I was gonna bring one thing, apart from my fishing gear, I would definitely bring sunscreen. It's cool.
There's some little, like little pompano behind them.
I wish the wind would die down so I could get in a kayak. But I do think that the flats here are spectacular. That sapphire water, if there's something out there, you can see it coming. We just have to see it coming.
Jen, thanks for walking these many miles on this beach with us today, and particularly for the casting tips in this wind. I had a great time.
Me too, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we'll get you out on a kayak tomorrow, I think. So you guys join us after this commercial and see how we do with Jen in the kayak.
Oh boy.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you by Jackson Kayak. One family, many waters. Orion Coolers. Never lose your cool. Ray Marine. Simply superior. I'm gonna get hit. Welcome back. You know, we got day 2 of our trip. We decided to fish with Jen fly fishing yesterday and walk the banks. So today we had to put her on a kayak. So she's taken to it very well. She's already standing up in the kayak and she just caught her first fish. Just out here having some fun. Nothing big, but you know, little fish are fun fish. So I'll take it.
At first it was really a challenge. I mean, I'd never done that before, but I mean, by the end of the day, I mean, standing up in the mayfly specifically, I was in the mayfly, and it's so comfortable, and being able to get into the spots where even on a flat boat you can't get, and getting to those little areas that you've always wanted to check out, but you see the bonefish tailing in the back, but you can't get back there because you have a skiff. For me, it's the perfect tool for that job.
It's pretty shallow here, so I'm using a suspending stick shad so it doesn't go down into the grass. And you know, these things just twitch it and it darts from side to side. So you got a really nice action and you can cover a lot of water that way. And that one's on. Oh, I'm just throwing a little stick shad up against the mangroves here and starting to get some action. The fish are these little snapper, barracuda. Nothing big so far, but it's some action and it's some fun in a beautiful place.
When you get someone involved in fly fishing specifically for the first time, they have to be successful. You have to get them out there and catch a fish. You know, when they get out there and they catch a fish with a fly rod, then that empowers them to go back out again. You know, so I always say, take them out there when it's a beautiful day and don't spend 12 hours out somewhere, you know, casting in tiny little quarters. So, did he catch a fish over there?
Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. Very small barracuda. And I don't know what it was, but another bigger fish came up and tried to eat it. Oh!
Keep going, don't listen.
He bit it off. That's the lure just floating there.
He's gonna go get it.
Well, I've been bit off a couple times. and I don't like losing lures. So there's a couple of big barracuda around. So I've got some tieable wire. So I'm just gonna make just a real short little leader, little bite leader. Hopefully it doesn't keep the fish off, but it keeps my lures on.
What do we got going on, Mark?
Okay, what we're going to do here now is we just set ourselves up on a point right here, and we're waiting for the tide to change to an outgoing tide. So the tide's changed now. The wind's coming out of the south, so we're on the leeward side again, so we're in good, comfortable water here. The fish are going to start going out with the tide, and what we want to do is we're going to bring them right up here behind the boat. So we got a nice bag, a 4-pound bag of chum. We're going to put a chum bag right out here and try and lure the fish up behind here, and let Jen and Jim have some fun with these fish. That a couple times, you can start seeing the pieces break away right there. And we're just gonna let this guy hang off the cleat right back here.
That's a little better. On this trip, one of the most valuable pieces of gear I brought with me is the Yak Attack parking pole. You know, there's just no way you'd be able to hold position anywhere if I hadn't brought it. So I brought actually two means of drift control on this trip. I brought my sea anchor drift chute for when I was drifting along the edges of places, and then I brought the parking pole for where I wanted to stake out and hold position somewhere. So it's really easy for me to travel with because it breaks down. So I can just take it apart and put it in my rod tube. And like I said, in this kind of wind that we've been having to deal with, if I didn't have this, it'd be so much harder to fish. So I think having my Raymarine fish finder when I'm on a trip, when we're fishing waters we don't know, is so important, especially we're gonna be doing some vertical jigging. And Naqua Adventure Gear makes it so easy to rig your stuff up. Just plug this into my battery via the Y connector. And then plug my camera into this. So, I mean, if you have a chance, check out these Naqua batteries. You really won't regret it. This one's a 12-volt 10-amp that I like to run, and that'll run my bait tank all day long. One of those will run that fish finder for a couple days. So we're gonna be staying deep. I don't need my stakeout pole. Wow. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Am I just looking at, that's a freaking bonefish. Yeah. Little bonefish on a stick shad. On the surface. I mean, 1 foot down. I would have never thought. There he goes. Boom! That's another fish taking line. It's another one. Yeah. You know, later on in the day when I catch 2 bonefish back to back on basically a stick shad surface lure, which, you know, nobody would expect you to catch a bonefish on, was just hilarious. That is hysterical. So yeah, so far today I've got a bunch of little snapper, a bunch of barracuda, a jack, and 2 bonefish. Not a bad morning. That is just funny as heck. And then of course I got payback when the little jack buried a hook into the back of my foot. Now these aren't big fish, but you bring this kind of tackle, ow, 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 ow. Oh! Fire!
So the fishing, I would say, with the wind this week was a challenge. We did have an opportunity to fish with a couple days that were not as windy, and it was great because the sight fishing, I mean, there's just, everywhere you look, there's flats where there could be bonefish and tarpon and some permit and barracuda. I mean, it's all there here in the Bahamas. And so for me, I would say the wind was an added challenge, especially with the fly rod, but it wasn't unfishable by any means. The people here are generous, and they're so kind, and they're so nice, and I would recommend anybody to come to the Bahamas. I definitely would be back for sure.
So for anybody who is interested in coming out here to Old Bahama Bay, we have left 6 fishing kayaks here. So if you want to come here and go kayak fishing, they've got a fleet that'll dial you in. They've got the inshore boats, the flat boats for stand-up side casting, and then they've got the offshore boats, a couple of Krakens. So if you can't go wrong by coming here if you want to go kayak fishing. 2 casts in a row. I'm like, because we're just like, are you kidding me? I caught it on a stick shad. Get it, deal with it, unhook it, do the camera thing. Next cast, boom, I'm on it, I get another one. It's like, are you kidding me? It's just nuts.
That was cool.
All right, that kind of wraps up today's fishing and this episode. Jen, you got to kayak fish today. How'd you like it?
I liked it. It was not without its challenges, but it was fun. I think I could get into it.
Yeah, well, you know, we put you out there in not the best conditions, trying to fly fish in the wind in a kayak.
That's right. I figured if I did it then, I could do it anywhere.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look super comfortable in the kayak.
It's a great kayak. I mean, it's so stable, I didn't even feel like I was going to fall out, and that's rare.
Yeah, well, I think you were in the kayak 5 minutes and you were standing.
Yeah, it feels more natural to stand. I mean, I didn't have any problem with it at all.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see you out there
It was fun.
and getting comfortable so quickly, so.